What if I told you that every time your dog stares at you, it's actually judging your life choices? Welcome to What If Horizons, where we explore the impossible until it starts making sense. Today, we're asking, what if you could talk to animals? Not just the, good boy, and, who's a fluffy baby, kind of talking. No, I mean real conversations. The kind where your cat finally explains why it knocks things off tables at 3 a.m. Spoiler. It's for sport, or where a pigeon looks you dead in the eye and says, "Yes, I did target your car on purpose." What are you gonna do about it? Let's start with the basics. If animals could talk, the first thing we'd learn is how deeply disappointed they are in us. Imagine a goldfish rolling its tiny eyes as you walk by its bowl. Oh great, here comes the giant who forgets to feed me, again. Or a cow at a farm, chewing slowly while muttering, "You drink what from me? And you call us gross." Dogs would be the overenthusiastic best friends who overshare. "You smell different today." Also, "I licked your sandwich when you weren't looking." Also, "I love you." Also, "What's a vet? And why do you keep saying we're going for a ride?" Meanwhile, cats would be the sarcastic roommates we all fear. "Oh, you're working from home today? Cool, I'll be sitting on your keyboard." "No, I don't care about your deadline. Pet me." And then there are the wild animals. Picture a squirrel stopping mid-chase to yell, "This isn't even about the nuts anymore, Jerry. This is about pride." Or a seagull swooping down to scream, "Give me your fries, or I swear I'll do it again." But here's the real kicker. What if animals have always been able to talk, and they just chose not to? Maybe they took one look at humanity and collectively decided, nope. Not worth it. Think about it. Birds hear everything. Squirrels see everything. And yet, they stay silent. The greatest conspiracy in history isn't aliens or secret societies. It's the animal kingdom's pact to ignore us. So what happens if we crack the code? If we finally bridge the communication gap? Well, buckle up. Because once the animals start talking, they might never stop. And the first thing they'll say, "We've got a lot to discuss." Now let's consider the practicalities of animal communication. First, we'd need to establish how this conversation would work. Are we suddenly fluent in bark, meow, and squawk? Or do animals start speaking perfect English overnight? Either way, the logistics are terrifying. Take dogs, for example. If they could speak human language, they'd probably still choose to communicate in their usual dramatic fashion. Picture this. You ask your dog why it barked at 2 a.m., and instead of answering, it dramatically collapses onto its side with a sigh. You wouldn't understand. "The wind, it spoke to me." Meanwhile, your cat would develop a habit of whispering ominous one-liners as it walks away. "The vase was an accident." The next one won't be. Then there's the question of animal opinions. Right now, we assume our pets adore us unconditionally. But what if we're getting roasted daily without realizing it? That happy wagging tail might actually be your dog sarcastically applauding your life choices. Oh bravo, human. You bought another decorative pillow instead of more treats. Stellar priorities. Wildlife would be even less forgiving. Deer would finally explain why they wait until the last second to dart in front of cars. It's about the thrill. Also, your faces are hilarious. Meanwhile, raccoons would unionize and start negotiating trash access rights. "We want weekends off in dental." Also, "Stop locking your bins, that's just rude." And let's not forget the awkward moments this would create. Imagine walking through a zoo where the animals can suddenly critique their enclosures. "This habitat is fine, Karen, but where's the ensuite waterfall?" The zebra's got one. Or worse, realizing your goldfish has been keeping a detailed diary of your personal failures. Day 47. The tall one still hasn't figured out the thermostat. I'm beginning to lose hope. The most unsettling part, animals might finally settle long-standing debates. Crows could tell us definitively whether they hold grudges. They do. Dolphins could explain why they're actually so friendly, it's a scam. And pigeons. They'd finally admit that yes, they do have a coordinated strategy for world domination. It involves breadcrumbs and patience. But here's the real question, would we want to know what they're really thinking? Because once that door opens, there's no closing it. And something tells me we might regret asking. Let's talk about the legal ramifications of animal speech. Because the moment animals gain a voice, the courtroom drama would be legendary. Picture a parrot being called as a witness in a burglary case. "Oh, I saw everything. The guy in the striped shirt. Total amateur. Left fingerprints everywhere. Also, Your Honor, the defendant owes me 3 sunflower seeds. Suddenly, every pet becomes a potential snitch. That loyal golden retriever might trade your deepest secrets for extra belly rubs. He said he was working from home, but really just napped and ate chips. Can I have a treat now? Then there's the issue of animal labor laws. If cows can articulate their grievances, the dairy industry would face lawsuits overnight. You take our babies, you take our milk, and what do we get? Some lousy grass. We demand hazard pay. Meanwhile, chickens would unionize faster than you can say, free range. You want eggs. Then we want weekends off and a 401k. Pets would start negotiating contracts. Your cat would slide a typed list of demands across the floor. Clause 1. No more kissy noises. Clause 2. Wet food twice daily or I shred the couch. Clause 3. The red dot is legally classified as psychological torture. Dogs, being less subtle, would just stage sit-ins near the treat jar until their terms are met. And let's not forget about wildlife property disputes. Squirrels would take humans to small claims court over stolen nuts. This human, accidentally, buried my winter stash under their petunias. I demand compensation, preferably in acorns. Birds would file noise complaints against each other. Your 5 a.m. singing is not artistic expression, Dave. It's a public nuisance. The most chaotic outcome, animal testimony in divorce cases. Your Honor, the plaintiff claims they were the primary caregiver, but who cleaned the litter box every day. That's right, me, the cat. I rest my case. Suddenly, every creature on Earth becomes a litigious little expert in contractual law. And honestly, they'd probably run the system better than we do. Now let's consider the scientific implications of interspecies communication. The first thing researchers would discover is how much we've misunderstood about animal intelligence. That dumb look your dog gives you when you explain something. Turns out it's not confusion, it's pity. Dolphin research facilities would become particularly awkward. Scientists would finally understand those clicks and whistles translate to, you realize we're only doing these tricks because you're holding fish hostage, right? Meanwhile, the octopuses in marine labs would finally get to voice their complaints about the interior design. This tank is an insult to my 8 refined tastes. Where are the puzzles? The art? The proper mood lighting? The primate research centers would experience a full-scale revolution. Chimpanzees would unionize immediately. We're not playing with these blocks for your research, we're building architectural models. Pay us in bananas and dental coverage. The gorillas would be even more direct. Stop staring and take notes, we're about to teach you real sign language. Birds would rewrite the textbooks on migration patterns. You think we fly south for winter? Cute. We're actually attending annual conferences. The topics, mostly mocking human city planning and discussing superior nest materials. Even insects would get in on the action. Bees would hold press conferences. Your Save the Bees campaigns are nice, but have you considered not poisoning our food sources? Ants would publish scathing critiques of human infrastructure. Your highways are inefficient. Observe our system. No traffic jams, no road rage, just perfect order. The most humbling revelation would come from crows. After decades of intelligence tests, they'd finally explain, we've been deliberately failing your stupid experiments because watching you get frustrated is hilarious. Laboratory mice would have the last laugh though. You think you're testing us? We've been running long-term human behavior studies this whole time. The results, not promising. Let's explore how animal communication would transform our daily routines. Your morning alarm clock would become obsolete when your parrot starts screaming, "Rise and shine, sleepyhead," at sunrise. The neighbor's rooster would upgrade from mindless crowing to personalized insults. Still in bed, Mike? Pathetic. Breakfast would never be the same. Your cat would place formal requests instead of just staring. The chicken pate again? Really? I left 5-star reviews for the salmon. Are we ignoring my feedback now? Meanwhile, goldfish would start demanding menu changes. Flakes? Flakes? Do I look like some common carp to you? Commuting to work would become an adventure. Squirrels would organize traffic control. You're going to sit there until I finish crossing. And yes, I might take my sweet time. Pigeons would start charging tolls. This intersection belongs to the downtown flock. Pay up in breadcrumbs or prepare for aerial bombardment. Office buildings would need new policies. Service dogs would unionize. We'll continue preventing panic attacks, but we're not fetching your coffee anymore. Office cats would negotiate better terms. If you want me to sit on the printer, it's time to discuss health benefits and a 401k. Evening walks would turn into diplomatic missions. Every fire hydrant would become a canine news network. Breaking. New terrier moved in on Maple Street. Smells suspicious. More at 11. Meanwhile, alley cats would run gossip columns. Did you hear about the tabby from 3rd Street? Total gold digger. Moved in with that Persian just for the automatic feeder. The biggest change? Bedtime negotiations. Dogs would finally explain their circling ritual. We're not making the bed, we're performing sacred sleep alignment ceremonies. Your failure to participate is offensive. And cats would be brutally honest about their nighttime activities. Yes, I'm going to yowl at 3 a.m. No, I won't explain why. It's classified. Now let's examine how animal speech would revolutionize the entertainment industry. Nature documentaries would need complete rebranding when their subjects start talking back to the narrators. That majestic lion basking in the sun. Actually, David Attenborough, I'm not surveying my kingdom, I've got a wicked hangover from eating fermented berries. Please keep it down. Zoos would transform into reality TV goldmines. The gorilla enclosure would become a 24/7 commentary booth. Look at these humans staring at us like we're the weird ones. Karen, your kid just threw his 3rd juice box today. Control your offspring. Meanwhile, the penguin exhibit would run a constant roast session. Yes, we waddle. At least we don't trip over air like you bipedal disasters. Animal actors would demand better working conditions. That famous movie Dog, I'll fetch the newspaper again, but this time I want my name above the title and final cut approval. The horse from your favorite western. I'm not galloping into another fake sunset until craft services improves the hay quality. The music industry would face unexpected competition. Birds would dominate the charts with complex symphonies they've been perfecting for millennia. You call that singing? Watch this 17-part harmony my flock's been working on since the Cretaceous period. Dolphins would release aquatic operas that make human musicians question their careers. Sports commentary would get brutally honest. Racing horses would finally share their thoughts mid-race. I see you bet your mortgage on me, Dave. Bad life choice. Soccer dogs would trash talk opponents. You call that fetch? My grandma retrieves better than that. Even children's entertainment would change forever. That talking teddy bear now actually talks back. Timmy, we need to discuss your questionable life choices. Also, stop drooling on me. Goldfish would star in their own soap operas. As the bowl turns, today on Days of Our Fins. The most shocking revelation: animals have been running underground comedy clubs for years. Why did the chicken cross the road? To escape your terrible cooking, Brenda. Thank you, I'll be here all week. Let's consider how animal communication would reshape global politics. The United Nations would need to expand its chambers significantly when elephants arrive to discuss land rights. We've been walking these migration routes for millennia. Your national parks are cute, but we'll be taking the whole continent back now. Polar bears would crash climate summits with graphic presentations. See this melting ice? That was our living room. You wouldn't like it if we flooded your suburbs, would you? Meanwhile, bees would send delegates to agricultural conferences. Stop saving us with your monoculture flowers. We want diverse pollen and pesticide-free zones. This isn't rocket science. Diplomatic relations would get complicated when migratory birds start ignoring airspace restrictions. Your no-fly zone doesn't apply to us, Karen. The Geneva Convention clearly states military dolphins would negotiate prisoner exchanges. We'll return your lost submarine if you stop dumping sonar devices in our waters. National symbols would need re-evaluation. The American bald eagle might request policy changes. You put me on your money but won't protect my nesting grounds. Hypocrites. The Russian bear would have strong opinions about vodka commercials. I don't even drink, and this portrayal is offensive. Animal rights protests would become far more effective when organized by the subjects themselves. Laboratory test subjects would lead marches with clear demands. We're not volunteers, we're prisoners of war. Circus animals would unionize overnight. No more hoop jumping unless you want to see how a tiger really feels about clowns. The most awkward moment, when pigeons sue major cities for defamation. You call us flying rats, while your own subway systems have actual rodent problems. The hypocrisy is staggering. Now let's explore how animal speech would transform our healthcare system. Veterinarians would need to completely rethink their bedside manner when patients can actually describe their symptoms. That anxious Labrador in the waiting room. Doc, I ate 3 socks and a Lego set. I regret nothing, but I do require immediate assistance. Pet nutritionists would face brutal honesty. You call this premium kibble. I've licked sidewalk gum with more nutritional value. Meanwhile, cats would become the worst hypochondriacs. Yes, I'm limping. No, I won't show you which paw. Just prescribe the good painkillers and mind your business. Wildlife rehabilitation centers would hear some shocking confessions. Technically, I didn't get stuck in the fence. I was trying to steal a chicken and miscalculated my exit strategy. Squirrels would become notorious for exaggerating injuries. My leg, probably broken, definitely broken, might need weeks of care and unlimited acorn access to recover. The pharmaceutical industry would face unprecedented challenges. Laboratory rats would unionize and demand better working conditions. You want us to test your diet pills? First, prove they don't cause explosive diarrhea like last time. Bees would patent their own medicinal honey formulas. Our hive's special blend cures sore throats and your terrible life choices. Even mental health services would evolve. Therapy dogs would offer surprisingly insightful advice. The problem isn't your job, it's your terrible work-life balance. Also, you should pet me more. Goldfish would specialize in short-term memory therapy. Wait, what were we talking about? Oh right, have you considered just forgetting your problems like I do? The most awkward moment, when zoo animals start diagnosing visitors. Sir, based on your posture and complexion, I prescribe less fast food and more sunlight. Sincerely, the gorilla who bench presses tree trunks daily. Let's examine how animal communication would revolutionize education systems. School mascots would suddenly have opinions about their roles. You want me to keep doing backflips for your mediocre football team? My contract says nothing about cheering for failing math scores. Biology classes would become interactive in unexpected ways. Dissection labs would need immediate redesign when frogs start protesting. Put down that scalpel and I'll tell you exactly how my circulatory system works. Meanwhile, classroom pets would become the toughest teachers. You forgot to feed me again. That's a 0 for the whole class. I don't make the rules. Field trips to zoos would turn into Q&A sessions with unexpected bluntness. Kids asking about monkey behavior would get brutally honest answers. We're not playing, Jessica. This is complex social hierarchy negotiation. Pay attention and maybe you'll learn something about your own playground politics. University research would face new ethical dilemmas. Those lab rats running mazes. They'd start giving feedback. Your experimental design is flawed. Also, the cheese reward is insultingly small. We demand publication credits or we strike. Even children's books would need revisions when talking animals critique their portrayals. Peter Rabbit would issue corrections. First of all, I never wore that blue jacket. Second, Mr. McGregor's garden was clearly organic and pesticide-free, making it fair game by foraging standards. The most awkward moment, when school therapy dogs start grading students' emotional intelligence. Timmy gets an A for empathy. Karen, your constant screaming suggests you might be part hyena. Let's work on that. Finally, let's consider how animal speech would change our fundamental understanding of existence itself. Pets would finally settle the age-old debate about consciousness. Of course, we're self-aware. We've just been pretending not to understand you because it's funnier that way. Wild animals would share ancient wisdom that upends modern science. You think you discovered quantum physics? Cute. Ant colonies have been using entanglement principles for millennia. Elephants would rewrite history books. Your carbon dating is off by several centuries. Let me tell you what really happened. Even our spiritual beliefs would transform when temple monkeys start offering theological commentary. You worship us on Tuesdays but shoo us away on Wednesdays? The cognitive dissonance is astounding. Church mice would form their own congregations. Today's sermon: why cheese offerings should be tax deductible. The most profound change: animals would finally reveal whether they've been judging us this whole time. Spoiler: they have. Your species built nuclear weapons before figuring out basic empathy. We've been taking notes. The verdict isn't great. But here's the beautiful part. We'd finally understand we're not alone on this planet. Every creature has thoughts, stories, and perspectives to share. The world would become infinitely richer when we stop assuming we're the only ones with something to say. So the next time your dog gives you that look, or birds gather outside your window, remember, they might be trying to tell you something. The real question is, are we ready to listen? Thanks for joining us on this wild thought experiment. If you enjoyed exploring What If You Could Talk to Animals, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to What If Horizons for more mind-bending explorations of alternate realities. Until next time, keep questioning, keep wondering, and who knows, maybe you'll understand that squirrel's ranting one day.